Test, test, test. Everybody in the back hear me? All right. Oh, excuse my sniffling nose. It seems like it's catching up to me. Turn that this way. Just making sure this is going here. All right, that'll do. All right, we'll go ahead and get started here. Looks like we got a big crowd here tonight. Thank everybody for braving the weather tonight. I know it's a little chilly out there, and that's pretty much an understatement. Although it could be worse, it could be up in like Minnesota and Wyoming where it's negative. What's that?
They've got heavy snow in New Orleans.
New Orleans? Yeah, the whole southern, along the coast had a blizzard warning because I got sisters north of Houston there. And
seen on the news, there's not one snowplow in Louisiana. They brought them down from Arkansas.
yeah. It's happened that way before, and it'll shut down the whole state down there. Just one thing, want to bring up this one. Member tables here, looking at them is fine. Just a reminder not to pick things up off of them and play with them. Tools the same way. They don't want you messing with tools or anything. So just a reminder that I had about 4 people come up to me when I got in here today. They had their board meeting today and it got brought up that because I think someone was looking at something on a table back there last month, and
I always look, but I don't touch.
yeah. So just looking is fine. Just don't pick up and start moving stuff around. Well, I mean, we're all curious. We want to see what they're doing. I mean, especially Ed's table over here. He gets some nice stuff. I mean, he just wheeled out that slab from the back room. He's going to make a table out of that. I got a message from Dan Augustin. He wasn't going to be able to be here tonight, but he said turning Saturday is going to be on September 13th, and it's at the youth building in Bloomington this year. So he'll let us know more. He's going to send out some information on sign-ups and all that coming up. He won't be in next month, but he thinks he'll be the month after is when he'll be back here to the club. So we should hear more on it, what the itinerary and everything is for it. So, plan for turning Saturday on September 13th. Some of the symposium stuff coming up, April 11th and 12th, Midwest Pen Turners up at the Chicago Marriott Northwest. In September, there's going to be segmented segmented wood turning symposium. It's also going to be up in Chicago too. It's on the 26th and 28th of September, Northbrook, Illinois. They haven't put out a registration yet on it, so that one's still coming along. Tennessee Wood Turning Symposium is going to be on January 31st and February 1st down in Franklin, Tennessee. That one is coming up pretty quick. And that is all I have right now for all my notes from last year. Tonight's demonstration, John will be talking about a little segmented turnings.
Yeah.
Oh. So, and we'll need to get some folks for the rest of the year. So if anybody wants to see anything special, anything like that, I know Alan from the from the Woodworkers Club here is wanting to do a little, I think, demonstration on the CNC machines. So, I think last year he talked about making a bowl on them using the CNC, and he came up to me tonight and said, I haven't forgot about it yet, I'm still interested in doing it, but it probably won't be till after April or later this year, so that'll be an interesting little demonstration to have that one back there on the CNCs. I don't know if anything else, we have a large crowd here to volunteer tonight, so I don't know if anybody wants to do for February. I'll put out a flyer on it too.
I don't know about February for sure, but I've got that little pig, and people are curious about like how to think about that, so that can be something. That's only the first one I've done, so I don't know if I'll have time to like do more and really come up with a good way for February, but like I can go for, March, April, something like that. I can
All right.
put on.
Do you want to just go for March then?
March will be fine, yeah.
March.
Call it pig bowl.
Pig bowl, that works for now. That's what we do, the pig box.
You know, if you did it in February, it can coincide with the Super Bowl. Well, I wasn't going for that. I was thinking more like the pig skin. That explains why Corey is single. Sorry. So yeah.
Did you talk to Alan about the spindle, the CNC that will get set it up to work on a turn project?
I think that's what he was going to show off, or something along that
I
line.
haven't seen that yet, I just know that he's been doing that.
Yeah, because I think he brought it up last year. I'll have to go back and look at the videos on it, but
That's something we wanted years ago when we first got the CNC, and it was a whole separate purchase.
Yeah.
So they never did it.
yep. So yeah, if you have any ideas or anything you want to do in the future, we're always looking for demonstrators. So, this month is going to be an interesting one, a good discussion. And one thing I want to try to get some more online demonstrators or someone like that, see how much that will cost. I know we talked a lot on that in the past about doing a demonstration for someone to talk to us or something like that over the TV, and we can respond back and forth to them. I don't know if anybody, I'll have to look back at my notes on who we had in the past brought up. I got them written here somewhere. Well, any other news or anything to bring up? No? No new faces tonight, so no visitors. I think Jerry's recovering at home from his foot surgery, so if Jerry's watching, hi Jerry, get well soon. From what I heard, it went well, so he's doing all right. Nothing else? No? All right. Let me write this down real quick. Let me pause this real quick. Oh. My knees don't like small chairs. All right, crowbar. sit there. There we go. All right, well, how many did the SKU project then? Just 2 people? All right.
I was on vacation, so
Yeah.
I just got home.
Don't worry about it.
All right. So we'll save the President's Challenge then for whenever. How many brought in something for tonight? Show and tell. 5? I'll get a few things out or for raffle, for giveaways.
I'm okay just talking about what I made.
Yeah, me too.
I don't need anything.
Save it for next
Save it
year.
for a bigger
All
crowd.
right.
Yeah. But I'm good with that too.
Okay. Well, if you want to go ahead and
John Krietler, Gator.
With the SKU, I just did a simple handle for a file. I intended to do a spindle with a bunch of humps and bumps like in practice, but I never got around to it. Got distracted. We did a small offset bowl, offset turn. Did this as a group project over at Roger Cookson's shop when a bunch of us got together one day, and it was a pretty interesting project. We did it a little bit different than any of them that I had done before. Started out with 2 worm screw holes that were 3/4 of an inch apart, and that's what got us our offset. We don't know what kind of wood this is. Crowbar brought it for turning Saturday with a question mark on it, and still a question. This is a dual profile. I guess you call it a hollow form, but it has. This is sycamore. No, this is oak. I used oak for the inside profile, and of course walnut for the outside profile. Very interesting process for doing that. If anybody hasn't done one, get on YouTube and type in dual profile wood turning, and they'll go through the process of how you do this.
John, when you do that, do you have a stop on your tool so you know how far to go in?
You don't do it that way, Crowbar.
Oh, okay, I see it now.
Yeah, you take the inside profile. In this case, it was oak, and I had some oak that was 1/2 inch thick, so I milled it down to 3/8 what I wanted, and I just started out with a bunch of squares. I drilled a 1-inch hole in the center of each one, and you slide them onto a mantle, onto a dowel rod. And then you put a little pressure on it, and you turn that inside shape. Then you take them back apart. Do the same thing for the outer profile, except these are segmented. And you kind of turn that rough shape, and you take them apart. And then you glue them together one at a time. Big one, little one, big one, little one. And you have a mandrel in your tailstock to line up that 1-inch hole in the center. It's an interesting process.
Makes sense now.
Yeah. And there's a couple of pretty good videos out there on YouTube. This is an urn that has the stair-step illusion. And I think Sam saw it first.
Maybe.
I think it was, and sent out a thing to several of us. Papa 1947 put a video out, and in his video, he's very, very careful throughout the whole thing. He doesn't show you this, and then at the very end, he says, "I've got a couple of more steps that I could show you," and he turns it around and you can see the steps. So there's not a lot of information about how you do this, but between Sam and Bob and I, we figured it out enough to get it done. Since we didn't have a demo tonight, I'm going to have a discussion about how I did it, why I did it that way, and we're going to try to talk about, are there better ways to do it? Okay? This is elm, walnut, and oak. Finish on this is Minwax wipe-on poly, and the finish on this is Howard's beeswax. Okay.
Well, one day when we were weeding at Rogers, John brought this piece of cherry over, and we didn't get it finished, so Roger's gonna finish it. And then he said it was too hard, he didn't want to mess with it anymore, so I took it. And it was the hardest piece of cherry I've ever turned. It was like turning rocks. But
Because it was.
I managed to get it hollowed out a little bit, and then it started splitting on me. And I could have put epoxy in there, colored epoxy, but I like it better just as it is.
I like it with the arrows.
And then Bob Foote, who used to be a member here, and he passed away. His wife was getting rid of his stuff, so I bought this maple burl from her. This is the only time I've ever had a burl. I've never turned one before. And it's from Canada, maple burl. And then I just have Old Masters gel polyurethane, one coat of it on there. And I don't know whether I should try to make it glossy or leave it as it is. I don't know what's everybody think would be better. Put a shine on it or leave it.
I think it looks nice just the way it is.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome.
But that's the first burl I've ever turned, and I like it. Got a lot of character in there.
Definitely want to put some oil on it or something, because I've seen burls that will just split. But
Oh, yeah?
Those are pretty thin.
Well, everything I turned pretty thick, and I wanted to keep it square, and so there, that's what I got.
Yeah, the one I saw that did that, a local artist, is Thomas Skaggs. He had an art show down at the theater, the old theater off of Main Street in Urbana. They got an art museum down there now, and parents of my friends told me about it. So I went there and looked at it and looked around. He had turned like these discs, kind of like a moon shape, almost made like almost a stained glass window, and the moon was out of burl, and then had like all different color pieces down through it. It's just real pretty stuff. But I noticed up there the moon had cracked, and it just looked like it dried out and started warping.
Well, that was really dry. I mean, there was no moisture in there.
And there's a lot of stress in burls because they're still every
Yeah.
which way.
All right, Coach Jones, Urbana. First thing, this is not turned, so I'll start with it, but it's wood, and I did a demonstration on chains recently. So this chain here is all one piece of wood, mahogany, that I had gotten at the City Wood Shop. The purse itself is Purple Heart, and it will hang straight, but there we go. So this made as a gift for Christmas and opens up, and so you got the heart shape there. But so this took a little bit of time carving the chain and actually doing all of it, but pretty happy with it, so I figured I'd bring it in and show it. But next thing I've got, this is a little thing, and I guess I'll be demonstrating how to make this in March, so I won't talk too much about it. But it's a little pig, or a little pig butt. It is a bowl, and so it'll sit flat like that, like a bowl, but it's more amusing if it's sitting in and it's a pig that's, run into a wall kind of thing. So that's a fun little project. I'll tell you more about it here in 2 months' time. But that was an idea that I've had since, I think, the summer, and finally got around to it. And then last thing that I've got, I had a few skew pieces, but I forgot all of the things that I've done in the past few months, so those are at home. But this This was a piece that I had turned the inside and outside, and it was a lot fatter. Like the outside shape came all the way down to there, and it was fat, and it just looked big and chunky, and I hated it, and it just sat for about a year waiting for me to do something with it. And so what I ended up doing, because I really couldn't get back on the inside, so I'm like, well, I guess we'll leave the inside diameter what it is, and I can turn the outside down. And so I turned it. I left a nub at the bottom, not really for any reason to begin with, but just because that's, that's what I was holding it with. But I realized that if I keep that nub, then it can like roll around, and that's kind of amusing as well, but also not very functional. So if you have it sitting on this hole here, it'll sit and it'll stay. And then I ended up gluing and mounting a piece of wood with a magnet in there for a little light. It's just a cheap light off Amazon that'll change colors. And so that can mount inside of there. And so now I have a semi-functional light, one of the more functional items that I've done. So that's
Very
it.
nice.
That's what we got.
Yeah,
Yeah, look at that.
Very nice.
That's what we got. Thank you. Thanks, John.
We're gonna get that effect going.
That was a thought. I mean, I was like, do I want to go through that nub and have this like lampshade and
Gary Pugh from Muhammad. According to my plant identifier, this is a piece of locust. It started out at least an inch bigger all the way around, height and width, and it kept flying apart, and this is what I wound up with. Because it's, as you can tell, it's highly spalted, and everything and name you put on it, it was weak. And that, it was gonna go thinner, and it was trying to go all over on me, so I quit. And this, I got on semi-trailers, they got this wood on the bed they strap stuff down to. I got a whole bunch of that. And that's what this is. There's no bark on it, so it's a light-colored hardwood, something like, what, an oak ash, something. So I glued a couple of chunks together, and I had the idea, for some reason, I wanted a square bowl, not like his, but this is the way this one came out.
Looks nice.
I don't know, I'm trying, that's a couple of coats of sanding sealer and then 2 of spray lacquer.
Very nice.
Scott, this is my skewy dooey things, just some pens. These are called fidget pens. Got a little ball bearing, and your board.
I haven't
You
seen that yet.
spin and spin, and spin and spin.
I've not seen that yet.
Yeah, here, just pass them around. Spin, spin, spin.
I could drive my coworkers nuts with this.
So, they're called,
It sounds like a locust.
they're called a fidget pen. Penn State has them. They're not bad kits. And those are made out of olive wood. With another thing of olive wood I made was what I'm calling a platter out of olive wood. March of 2023, I was able to go to Tucson and get 22 feet log of olive wood, and I've been playing with it since then. I've still got a log chunk, but this is a platter that I roughed out green and then dried on me naturally. Did that really mitten overlap. I thought that was really cool. So I'm just kind of sanding it and going to leave it like that. There's my foot, which was the tenon. I've got my first quality live edge bowl. 3 others are cracked. So severe, I think, I don't know what to do with them. They're just going to go to firewood. But this is the only one that survived so far. I like this one. And then one without the bark, just a little bump of a burl or whatever was out of the edge there. And got it all smoothed up and ready. Put some finish on these. Olive wood from Tucson. That's it. And your fidget pins.
I thought I'd go.
Hoping to give these to the guy who gave me the wood.
Oh.
Yeah.
enough to go around one each?
I can
Enough to go around one each?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I can make more. I can make more. They give me more skill practice.
Anybody else? Crowbar, you have anything tonight? No? It's just about 7 o'clock. We'll go ahead and take a little break here for a little bit. And then, John, you can get set up and get ready. And come back in probably about 15, 20 minutes. I got some stuff set out here for a raffle. Just a few items, a couple of donations of wood. Put out a 2-inch bowl sander with a hardwood handle over there. So if you want to try for that tonight. And got a couple of little miscellaneous tools over there too. And there's a pen case over there, so you can put all your fidget pins in there if you want.
Okay. Well, I didn't pinch out my tip money for all this.
Socks. She wears every kind of sock. She has the most personality. It's no sock. There's only so much you can do. You know?
Yeah.
Just got that.
Well,
Well, great for you right here. It was cold for them down there, but it was warm for me. We had a little, we're into a high of about 60 years.
yeah, so my whole family.
Yeah.
2000, yeah.
My wife's on her socks.
Down by,
Yeah, they got fiddles on.
they got down to 20 years.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
They do it between Christmas and New Year's.
You thought I would have to.
Christmas Eve, got into happened Christmas Day, or
I can see it upside down. I can see it upside down.
we got down 23.
Yeah, yeah. As I look towards the bottom, it flips on me.
Right. Three-quarters of the way through.
That's what people are freezing.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Oh, my. I make a motion, we buy a photo booth.
Let me bring in mine.
Well,
Just to show you guys what it is and how it pops up. I'll bring it up.
and I was trying to save you the trouble of bringing it in and taking it off.
Okay. I haven't had it up for a while. Pops down, goes in the closet.
I think we need to, we have some really nice furniture that they ought to be shown.
Thank you, John.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely try it.
And that way, you could set it at the end of the table, focus your camera on there and leave it. Sit there, right. Bring your piece to the show, set it in the photo booth, stand there with it, duck down or stand beside it or whatever, but get pictures of it. You know, out there where, people Google, oh, Flatland Woodturners, and they find their Facebook page and they see 30 pictures from them.
I was thinking, how did you get it?
Going off of that, because, you know, what camera do you have in mind? Do you have a plug camera?
Oh, we got
Yeah.
these video cameras.
Video camera. Because related to that, you can have a set camera for people have really bridging projects that they've done even recently. So even hiring like a photographer for one day, or, you know, and it's like everyone bringing your nicest pieces and, you know, you bring in $10 or whatever, the club can put it, but like, I bet people would bring in their nicest pieces to have a real nice picture of it. Picture day? Picture day? Yeah, it's a lot.
Instead of a demonstrator that month, we could have a picture day month.
That's a very good idea.
And I've got digital SLR cameras at home. I've got
Yeah, well, has happened.
You know, even the
Even
The phone cameras
phones cameras
take really good pictures,
Right.
you know, I mean, we're not talking museums here.
Right, but there are a lot of, I know that for
Lighting and all
AEW,
that.
if you want to submit things for some of their shows, or, you know, they've got a few shows that they've got open entries for. The entry is send us pictures, and really it's, you know, pictures to sell it, so even if you have an amazing attorney, if you got, you know, a weak picture of it, even if you have a nice camera, sometimes it's not even just a camera, but it's the color composition, you know, that kind of stuff. So, I think some of us would benefit like
The Facebook page I'm on, I posted a picture of a bowl that's 9 by 5.5, and the thing looks like it's maybe 4 by 5.5,
Yeah.
you know? The quality of the picture.
Wood piece is the direction of the light. Makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Well, there was trees. And it is wider than it is tall. But looking at it, it doesn't look wider than it is tall. But it's 9 inches wide and 5.5 inches tall.
Yes, non-refundable entry fee. Speaking of shows, are you gonna go to Minneapolis? Okay, we haven't got any tickets or reservations yet. We're gonna see if anybody else is one. When I get a hotel room, we get one with a couch and maybe a separate, like a kitchenette or something, I don't know, a bigger room than we had before so that we'll back all the people up, save more money, go from there.
Yeah, they do the early registration.
Just missed it, save $25. Is anybody thinking about going to the AEW symposium? I'm not. John? Okay. Corey and I will go. Cody's gonna go.
Minneapolis?
Yeah, Minneapolis, yeah.
When is it?
June, 12th. Second weekend, is it? Yeah, 12, 13, 14?
And, yeah, it's in
12, 13, 14.
So we have across the river. And that's where
Yeah, everybody got,
AEW
sorry.
headquarters.
Sorry to interrupt, but everybody got the raffle tickets?
Walk out.
It's a permanent gallery.
Oh.
Of people who have.
Last call for raffles.
Chosen to a selected piece that they would want to get, so, you know.
All right.
I'm hoping that we can get over there at some point to see that, because they would have the best of the best there.
That's all the church, isn't it? It's not a turning, that's not a turning convention, is it?
Yeah,
The AEW?
AEW
See,
symposium is.
Shared or like the AEW. Have you joined that?
I thought it was good for me.
I thought you did.
And
Artistic stuff.
probably 160
I find that inspiring. Mom told me passed away, we got a bunch of AEW magazines,
and
bring them in next
then
month.
Remember I shared something, I can't remember what it was.
Library.
Must be something that struck my fancy or something.
I thought I was just telling about it.
you know,
Magazine, they all get that.
Friday.
No, I have not. I'll go ahead and start drawing some raffle tickets here. So the first number up is 824. 824. Hey, that's one of mine. All right. Next number up 825, I'm re-gifting. Yeah, that was my next one.
You draw 3 in a row.
If I draw 3 in a row, I'm going over to play the lotto after this. Son of a bitch. Shit, you know. Yeah, 826.
All right.
I'm playing the lotto after this one. Yeah. All right, so now somebody else will get a chance since all 3 of mine have been drawn. 819.
That's mine. Give me that plant there.
Yeah, I'll look at that too. All right, 817.
That's fine.
What's this look like?
Oh. While he's taking a look at that. 813.
Oh, that'll be me. Alrighty. Now, I like the pen thing, but does anyone else have interest in that pen thing?
No?
Okay. Thank you very much. I've been wanting one of these for a long time.
One of those, kind of stick.
Got one of those.
You got one of those? All right.
I've been wanting one of these for a very, very long time. Here, what's the pen casing? This will hold 30. I'll go ahead and clean it up.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it's just one of the ones that spin when it's there.
Yes.
A friction sander.
Let me teach you how to do
All right, 3 things left, 820. 820.
It's mine, let somebody else win.
All right, very good. Eight 814.
Does anyone else have a chance? I've got that one. Anyone else?
No,
What's that?
very good.
Go for it.
Please go for it.
What we got here? Oh, that's, I thought Sam took that.
He changed his mind. Do you have 815?
No, I don't.
I do. Sam?
I'll take the sander.
Take the same this time?
Yes.
Sam, this is.
And crab log 812.
Oh, that'll be me. Crab apple log?
Yep.
Or is it called? It's crab apple?
Yeah.
Yes,
Crab apple. Crab apple.
cut in August.
Annoying
It
tree.
was cut in August.
Oh, was it? What's a crab apple?
All right. Everybody?
Bradford,
Yeah.
all you Bradfords.
All right.
Oh, okay.
Dump these out.
Is that a better description?
Yeah.
Bradford, Brown name. That's the county's first name. Start.
Are you ready?
Wire him up.
Wire them up for sound. Zip this out here. I've got this guy set up. I didn't know if you're gonna bring a laptop or not, so I put that out there.
No, this was just a spur of the moment thing, so
All right,
some leftover pieces and a little discussion.
right there.
Okay.
And I don't know if you wanna just put that in your pocket.
Yeah, that'll do it nicely.
There we go.
Is it ready to go?
It's
Yep,
on the
it's
go.
on.
And let's- That'll work for you?
Yep, I think that'll work. So we're just going to kind of have a little bit of a discussion about this stair step illusion, and I'll tell you how it got started and why I decided to do a couple of things the way I did it. But really what I want to do is I hope that there are some other ideas about how to do it better than I did it, okay? It started out with a text from Sam, I think. He had seen a YouTube video, sent it out, and in the YouTube video, the guy takes great pains not to show you this stair step. All he shows you is the rest of it, and then at the very end, he says, I want to show you a couple of more steps, and he turns it around so that you can see the steps. And then he says if he gets a lot of feedback, then he'll do a video on how to do the steps. So we didn't have much to start with. So I took a screenshot of this to kind of get started, and we talked about how you needed to do those steps. And what we decided was that you needed a triangle piece. Have you got it where they can see it up there?
Whichever way you go with it.
Yeah, however you want to do it.
Go to the other one.
Huh?
Can you go to this one?
Yeah, well, I think so. Okay, there we go. So we decided we needed a diamond-shaped or a parallelogram piece, and then that you needed 2 triangle pieces. If I get them right, like that, and like that. So those 3 pieces together turn out to be your stair step illusion piece. Okay? So,
Do you know what angle you cut those at?
yes I do. So there's one that's glued up, and you can see that I left some extra on my triangle pieces, and then from that I trimmed them down. Just set up the table saw and cut the excess off, leaving it. Okay, now as far as what angle you cut these in, a couple of things you have to know. You have to know how big around you're going to make your piece, and that will determine the size of your segment length. That's how big you have to make these, so that in my case 16 of them equal the 8-inch diameter that I wanted to start out with. That's what I wanted to do. So that turned out to be 1 3/4 of an inch. So we now know it's 1 3/4 of an inch. I know I'm going to make these 3/4 of an inch thick. So given that 2 things, you have to start out with the center and go to the point. Start out with the center and go to the point. So theoretically, if each one of your rings was a different size, you would have to do that calculation and make each one of these a little different. So because of that, I decided that I wasn't going to have a very steep profile. I was going to keep it relatively straight, so that I could make all of these the same size. So when I did my glue up, I actually had a cylinder. I did not have any difference in the size of the bottom ring or the size of the top ring. That simplified it a little bit so that I could make all, however 13 of these or however many there are, the same size. All I had to do was make them a little thicker so that I had enough meat there to give a little profile on the outside and a little profile on the inside. Okay, so that decision was made. So I knew how I was going to make these. I knew what sizes they had to be. I knew that I was going to use 16 segments, so the rest of it was pretty straightforward. Except when you do segments, you normally have a wedge shape. So the back of the segment is smaller than the front, and just like you have here. You have a segment wider here than it is here, and the angle is set for 16 segments, 22.5 degrees, I think. But how how do you take a piece like this and make it a segment? Because if you do, then these corners are not going to be the same, and as you turn it, you're not going to have these corners like you want. So what I decided to do was I was going to leave this straight. I wasn't going to cut this piece as a segment.
Okay.
So what I did on mine was that I cut my 16 segments and I clamped them up, but not glued them yet. And then I took and let's see which way it goes. Yeah, that way. I took and laid this on top of the segments, drew a line, and then took these two adjacent segments and just trimmed them on the bandsaw. So now I have 13 traditional segments. I have 2 modified segments, and I have the one straight one. So that's the way I did it, because it was about I thought as simple as I could do it. And it pretty much worked. If you look at them, a lot of the points are exactly where they're supposed to be, but a lot of them aren't. This is not right, but if you stand back there, you don't see it. When I got to the top, I tried to glue 2 rings at a time, and some of them slipped, so that made it a little bit worse. Not having very much information to start with was one thing, but then trying to figure out how to do it and to do it the simplest way, I think it was all right. Now,
I'd be pleased.
What caused them to be out of line? Looks like they just needed to be rotated.
well, the things that can cause them to be out of alignment is, one is when you're gluing them and get them lined up the way you want them, and then clamp them, they'll sometimes slide. And that's what happened up here at the top. I know what happened up there at the top. The other thing that can cause them to get out of alignment is that this rascal here is straight. The adjacent ones have a steeper angle than they normally would. So when you turn away, then that kind of changes things. It's not like all 16 of them are the same. So you have some things working against you. As you're turning them, this segment doesn't get any smaller, but these 2 segments get smaller at a quicker rate than they're supposed to. So that's the complexity of it. I think if you were really going to do this correctly, you would have to take this diamond piece and cut it as a compound angle, not only with the diamonds, but you would also have to cut it as a wedge. You would have to take these triangular pieces and not only cut them as a triangle, but cut the compound angle, and I'm not that smart. Let me tell you. I don't know how to do that, okay? So that's sort of what I did. Now, and I deliberately wanted to do this as an urn so that you would not see the inside, because I know that with this piece being straight, I didn't think that I would get the same stair step on the inside as I would the outside. I didn't think so. I can't look in there to see. So we started talking about this, a few of the guys there in town, as to what would be a better way to do it. And Sam said that if you took your 16 segments and put your one straight segment in, but then put 1, 2, 3 other straight segments in. And that worked pretty well. Then I did not have to modify these two adjacent. Everything, all of the segments had the right angles to them. So that was an improvement. And you can see it's almost a circle, but not quite a circle. That would not be much of a problem, I don't think. You just have to keep in mind that as you're turning it, you're going to turn off a little more in this area than here, and then you're going to turn off a little more on the inside to get it back to purely round. I think this would work better than the way I did it. But what I was hoping is that some carpenters or somebody would know a better way to do this. I want to do another one, and I would like to do it as a bowl or a platter or something that you would see the inside and the outside. I think that covers just about most of what I had here.
So what angles did you cut the walnut pieces at? 30 degrees or 60 or? In this instance, it turned out to be 40 point something another. Like I said, this was 1 3/4 of an inch. This was 3/4 of an inch. Going from the center to the point determines the angle. Okay.
If you did a thicker or a thinner block, the angle would change. If you did a narrower or a wider block, the angle would change. What you have to do is basically draw this out and then measure the angle so you know what to cut these. And in this particular situation, it was like a 40.6 angle or something like that. And that's what I set up the miter fence at. Yeah.
First, can you hold up the picture of the screenshot? I think I like yours better than that. But no, I think you did a really good job. I think that's really good. The only thing or things that I thought, and it's more apparent in his, the lighter colored woods on the edge of his segment stick out a lot. And so you lose the stair step effect in his more like easier than in yours. Because you've got a different colored wood and the grain like matches,
Right.
Unless you get up there and look, it doesn't look like it's two triangle segments on top of each other.
I noticed that on his, that you could kind of see the difference in this wood and this wood right in here. And at first I thought he was using different wood, but it really isn't. It's different as the light shines off of it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the difference. I did look for wood that I thought the grain would be compatible. And, sometimes it is, but sometimes it isn't.
Yeah.
It's a difficult thing to do.
So one of the ways that I think that you could improve that part, which you'd still have other issues, but if you were to cut out rather than a triangle here and then an upside down triangle there and match up, if you had a wedge or the diamond shape and instead put it going under and over, so that you've got continuous grain going from layer 1 to 2.
Right.
That would be a better effect. And the way that you could do that is do your segment like normal, instead of having and have your walnut block, but have that just a whole walnut segment. Then you would go in and take your bandsaw, your table saw, and nick out an upside down triangle out of it. And on the next piece, you would nick out, a right side up triangle. and then you could put in, you know, each of those diamonds so that
Yeah.
they're sticking up.
Right.
And then that would also fix your alignment as
Yeah.
well.
That's one of the things that Sam and I talked about when we first started this, before I ever started doing this, was whether you could do it where you did like 2 rings at a time.
Yeah.
But, and what you're saying there is that each ring you do, you would have a part of that, of a part of this sticking up.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you do your whole ring,
Right.
cut it at the end, put your piece in, and then it would help with alignment because
Right.
now you've got a
Yeah.
triangle that matches and it's not
Right.
moved.
So instead of 2 triangles, you would have a second
Yes.
diamond like this,
Yes.
and that you would put it in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This would be the oak wood, but it would be in like that. And that might be a way to do it. You have to really think through that.
Are you saying that would be like a key going in, locking 2 rings together?
Yeah, basically.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Because you're already cutting out the way that you did it. You already cut
Mhm.
your segment, but you cut it straight. So now just turn your bandsaw fence
Yeah.
at a 45-degree angle, and you just cut out a triangle that you can put your segment in
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
I'm lost.
Yeah. Be like that. This would be oak and oak.
Correct.
Oak, walnut, oak.
Yeah.
And it would just go up the line. Each ring that you did, you would have that diamond sticking up, or that half of the diamond sticking up.
So it solves some of the issues. Is it easy? I don't know if it's necessarily easy, but it solves some of the issues.
That would be something interesting to try on just a couple of mock-up rings, you know.
Yeah.
Do a little practice piece on it.
So what he's saying is where you cut your walnut piece, you cut an oak piece basically the same dimensions.
Yes, that's
And
correct.
then-
You would cut an oak piece the same as this. And so,
Then glue it high and low.
yeah,
There you go, it would be laid down.
Yeah. And then lock into the next one.
right there. I think that would work if you could figure out how to make the notch out in the next piece that goes, the next ring that goes on there.
Too fragile to run across the router table? Maybe with a V cut?
That might work.
Little
Yeah.
cuts at a time.
Mhm.
Get that V, that way it's precise.
If you might be able to cut that V notch with a router, on a router table.
Another thing that I mentioned to John is to do what he's done and glue it up with the stair step
Yeah.
segment in it, but turn it round before he glues it on, so that he knows exactly where that outer dimension is going to be. Because as you're turning it, it's getting smaller. So if you turn that one, get it exactly where you want it, glue it on, and then turn the next one, turn it on a set of cold jobs or something, get it round, so that when you glued it on, you would have it already be round, so you're not going to be changing the dimension of that piece. That makes
If
any
you
sense.
tapered them like the other segments, if you tapered your stairway inset piece like the other segments, then your stairway would be a different size on top.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know how to do that, you know, and make it look right,
Those
so.
pieces look just like cutting board patterns. I mean, where you start with bigger pieces, and then you just have to chop them up
Mhm.
to get what you want, and you can cut them and then turn and glue them. And I'm just wondering if you could end up with those pieces instead of working with a lot of little pieces.
Oh,
Do all your stair steps in walnut pieces. Cut them and turn them.
yeah.
To get the pattern you want, and then slice them. Because there's
I-
a lot of little pieces.
I did have a lot of thought process on how to do that. And I really wanted to make these into a long board.
Yeah.
But in order to do that, the grain would have been running the wrong direction. So what I wound up doing was getting the widest board I had. I had a board about 8 or 9 inches wide. And I could cut them that way and get me a piece that was about 9 inches wide, and I could get 3 of those out of one piece. So that it wasn't as good as being able to do a 2-foot long piece and get them all out of one, but I was able to do 3 9-inch pieces and get them.
Join the board till it's long enough.
Yeah.
All at once. Join the boards edge to edge.
Oh, I could have done that. Yes, I could have done that. I did not think about doing that.
What I'm doing is.
Yeah, but I could have done, I think I could have done that. Yeah. That's interesting. It's kind of what I wanted to, I wanted to hear other ideas about how to do this. And I still am not certain in my own mind how to make it look right on the outside and right on the inside. I'll have to do a lot more playing with that.
So,
If your pieces were straight all the way through, I guess you're turning.
You know, and it might be that the pieces straight all the way through might get you a better effect on the inside than if you tried to compound angle them.
when you make your step piece, if you made it wider, not the walnut, but the 2 pieces of oak, if you made that wider so that you could cut your wedge out of that, would that work? Because if you made it wide enough to cut the wedge out and not get into your walnut, then you're not changing the inside. Like that piece right there.
But then you got extra oak here.
Right, you would,
It wouldn't match.
yeah, you would have extra oak.
Yeah.
Right, you would have extra oak. That wouldn't work.
I've done a lot of things on this thing that didn't work.
Show them your threading.
Realize if you made the staircase so you could view it and it was great inside, you'd have to cut out the other side of the jar so it would show.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know what that looks like on the inside. The threads are plumbing fittings, PVC plumbing fittings. Just bought a male and a female threaded fitting, chucked them up in on the lathe and used a parting tool to cut that off and then glued them in place. So it's a lot less than paying whatever they are, 30 bucks a piece for the brass ones, and $25 a piece, whatever they are. And they tell me that you can get that in the black in the drain pipe, and PVC drain pipe is black, but I couldn't find it real readily. So that's all I've got.
Interesting.
So that was cool. You say you're gonna use that as an urn
Yeah.
for a animal or a human or what?
Person, yeah.
It's big enough
They
for,
need to be that big for a human?
This is probably just a little bit bigger.
Oh, okay.
I've made several urns, and you know, I think if you do some research on them, they'll tell you how big they have to be. And you can, you know, if it says it's got to be so many cubic inches, you can get a square container and fill it with sand or salt or any granular thing, and calculate that many cubic inches, and then you can pour it in there to see if it's big enough or not big enough. But
According to AI, the standard size of a bulk cremation urn is 200 cubic inches.
Right.
The urns can range from 175 to 300. Like my stepfather was about 300.
yeah.
Which was a surprise for me. I went there with probably a 75.
I have an urn at home that's about that tall and about that big around, and my daughter says it's a family urn, that we're all going to go in there.
I've got a jig at home that I made, well, not a jig, but to figure a cubic inch, if you go make a 5-inch square, an inch high, that's 25 cubic inches. So I've got some MDF at home with clear plexiglass on one side, 3 sides MDF, 5 inches square, and it's like a foot tall, and every inch of that is 5 cubic centimeters, or cubic inches.
Yeah.
So that if you go up 8 inches, that will give you, and now I've lost one, that'd give you 40 cubic, that'd give you, every inch is 25.
25, yeah.
Inches.
So 8 inches.
8 inches high, 5-inch square would give you 200 cubic inches.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does it? And
Yeah.
we used to have a friend, and in Decatur, he did all the cremations for one of the bigger funeral homes in Decatur. So I've got a container that actually came from an urn. But 5 square inches, 8 inches high, a cube, will get you 200 cubic inches.
But I'd say it's just slightly larger than most of the urns are. So.
I had no idea.
Now, the one I have that's actually an urn, the plastic container is only about that tall. It's not very tall at all. You know, not very tall at all. And they average 200 cubic inches. And what Mike would say, if people went over, they'd sell them another urn, you know. But the others in a bag, in a box, whatever. And I had a lady that bought an urn, and then a year later, she got tired of her husband's ashes being there, so she wanted me to make her a small one that she could keep, and she was going to get rid of the big one. So I made her one that, you know, it was only 3 or 4 inches tall, but that kept part of it, of him, and she got, I don't know what she did with the rest of them, buried him, I guess, but she downsized. Very, I love your piece, John. That's very nice. Nice sermon.
If you get far enough away from it, you don't see the little flaws in it. So it's okay. It's
Just
nice.
turn it around a little
Yeah.
bit.
Turn around, nobody can see it.
That's all right.
Old
They're
farmer,
gonna be inside, they ain't gonna care.
That's right.
old farmer I ran into.
You know, it's just going to sit on the shelf and collect dust anyway. So, but I'm going to do another one. Okay. Thank you, guys.
All right, before you put that away.
I like your idea. I think that can work.
It solves, I mean, it just makes that
Yeah.
cleaner. And it'll help with the